Hey, my handsome ladies and gentlemen, this is Shmeaty. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new. I've cracked the code for the Fantasy Cup meta, and as you can see here, as I try to struggle my way through catching this Hisuian Sneasel, I have a 5-0 set that I'm claiming on a star piece, and that was kind of a recurring theme with this team. I have yet to go negative with this team, and I've been running it for days. Generally, I try to test out a team a little bit before, showing it off to you guys if I believe it to be a good team, and boy is this a good one. So, this team featuring Azu on Ice Beam and Hydro Pump, Giratina Origin, and Dragapult has yet to receive a negative set, but I won't keep you too much longer. Let's just get into the matches. A bit of a disclaimer before getting into the commentary on these matches. Our team is a bit soft to an opposing Azumarill, as our Azumarill is on Ice Beam and Hydro Pump. So if you want to shore up that weakness by putting Play Rough on your own Azumarill, you're a little bit softer to A-Slash, but I believe you should be fine. Nevertheless, there's a G-Zing on our screen, and we make a catch onto our Giratina Origin. The second Sludge comes immediately, and we are going to switch into the Giratina O. They're going to fire off a move here. This can only be another Sludge, or Sludge as I like to call it, so that's what we're going to call it for the rest of the video. I play into a CMP tie, but I lose the CMP tie to the G-Zing, and that is absolutely embarrassing. I guess I don't know my CMP values very well. I'm going for the Ominous Wind, going for the Undercharge, looking for the Farm Down, and we can leave with Energy to threaten what they have in the back. It's going to be a Shadow Alolan Dugtrio, and I may have just gotten new mechanic there. I did not, okay? I lived that Mud Slap, and they are going to have an Azumarill of their own in the back, and this is terrible for me. I've made an aggressive pivot into my Azu, and my Azu doesn't have coverage for an opposing Azu. This is terrible stuff. I'm firing off the Hydro Pump here, whatever, why not? Might as well go for the Hydro Pump. Does not do very much damage. That's kind of relative damage to what a Play Rough would do, to be completely fair. But nevertheless, they land the Play Rough, and they are likely going to be able to farm me down here if they really choose to do so, but they decide to play into the losing CMP tie, and now there's life. If they just committed to farming me down, they were in a perfectly fine spot, but now, since they decided to throw the Play Rough a second time, I can easily just switch into my Dragapult. They switch into the Wigtrio, and now I'm going to put up a shield. I cannot afford to let this move go. Dragapult is good at many things, but tanking moves in Pokemon Go is not one of them. Here we go, looking for the Farm Down, and I'm actually throwing moves here. I probably shouldn't be doing this and just be committing to farming down, but I figured that I could make the 2 Breaking Swipes, and with the Astonish damage that would KO. It just barely doesn't, but one more Astonish will do it. GG's to this trainer. You guys see that battle intro? That looked like we were in the pits. Nevertheless, it's going to be Azumarill leading into a Shadow Alolan Sandslash, and this one's on Powder Snow, so our Azumarill is in a pretty fine spot here. It's always a really tough call on Azu, whether you want to bait this matchup or not. They will almost always try to catch your potential Hydro Pump on their own Azumarill there, so what you should do is just have some reservation there, don't throw immediately, and bring in your Giratina. Now, Giratina here does pretty fine. It lives a Play Rough. It lives in Ice Beam a lot better than a Play Rough, and we are outside of Bubble Down range. I believe with the Play Rough, we are very easily in potential Bubble Down range. They are going to be able to make another move here, but we can just commit a shield. And now we can either force that shield back or look to make a play for switch here. I'm going to throw a move here, looking for an Undercharge on this Ominous Wind, looking for that Farm Down. They bring in the Shadow A-Slash. Not the best thing ever for us, but we're just going to let this move go. And now we're going to bring in our Azumarill. I'm just throwing it. I'm sending that pump this A-Slash's way, and they are going to shield it. That is tragic. Unfortunately, that is pretty devastating because Hydro Pump is a very expensive move. Azu only has expensive moves, as Ice Beam is 55 energy. Nevertheless, they are going to fire off another Drill Run here. It's going to do some solid damage onto the Azu, but we're once again outside of Bubble Down range. We get caught on. Oh my goodness, this guy is absolutely styling on me right now. We're going to bring in our Dragapult, and there's just no play for us in this game. Unfortunately, this is the pretty trending content creator team. Azu A/Core with a Dragapult or a Giratina Origin. For those that don't have Dragapult but have Giratina. We can actually win against it if we don't make several misplays in a row, but unfortunately we are going to lose this game as this A-Slash is going to easily be able to make a move, and our buns are steamed here. GG's. In the next match, our Azu is going to find an opposing Azu on lead, and with two better ways of dealing with this, we may as well just switch into our Giratina. Giratina here does pretty fine, provided shields are up, and we are in the 2-2 here, so we're just going to fire off our Shadow Ball just after making it, and now they're going to fire off a move in retaliation. I can call an Ice Beam here. I usually try to play to them throwing an Ice Beam, but they actually throw the player up and I shield it there. They're going to bring in an Excadrill, and I'm having visions of Azu Slap Hole here, and I'm pretty sure that's what this team is. But an Ominous Wind is going to force the shield from the Escap, and that's not an Escap, that's an Exca. I always get those two confused. Nevertheless, they are going to fire off a Drill Run, removing my Giratina from existence, sending him right back to hell where he belongs. But we're going to bring in the Azu, commit to the Bubble Down, and they're going to fire off a Drill Run. Drill Run does hurt quite a bit, and now it's always going to be their Azu coming back in. And now, looks like they're looking to build up to a move and fire it off at the Dragapult. This should always be the Alolan Dugtrio in back, and there it is. But fortunately for us, we are going to be able to outpace them to one Breaking Swipe, and although we have two here, we will lose this CMP tie. This Pokemon is only attack. There is nothing else. I don't even think it has other stats. It's just attack. We're looking to commit to a very cautious overfarm here because we need to outpace the opposing Azu and not get bubbled down in the process. We have to commit to that Hydro Pump. I don't believe an Ice Beam would do it. We make the Hydro and this game is over. GG's. Back into the pits for the next game. This game is so very well made. This is going to be an Azu leading into a Lucario. Now Lucario should probably have Thunder Punch for Azu coverage in this cup, and I'm going to safe switch into my Giratina, met with a Waterfall Empoleon though. This trainer, ABA Steel so far is very interesting, but this Waterfall Empoleon, all we have to do is shield once, and because Waterfall's pacing is so bad, we're going to be able to pace circles around this Empoleon. And they committed a shield already. Empoleon is not a Pokemon that wants to be no shielding moves here. We're going to fire off the Ominous Wind. Ominous Wind gets the shield. Both shields dropped by the opposing Empoleon. We're going to be able to farm this Empoleon down, leave rather healthily, and with a lot of energy for the remainder of this trainer's team. This is pretty bad stuff for them. They're going to bring in their Azumarill in the back, but Azumarill does not like taking Shadow Balls. And since we're going to be able to easily make two here, this Azu's in trouble. We're looking to overfarm. I was looking for the CMP tie there, but they just bring in Lucario. And Lucario's getting smoked by a Shadow Ball, nearly one-shotting, getting farmed down in the process, making a Shadow Ball with 1 HP to spare. We might actually die to that bubble that snuck through. Yes, we do. Now in comes the Dragapult. And if you guys ever wondered how much an Azu move does, please do not wonder for very long. An Ice Beam nearly one-shots the Dragapult, but we pick up that KO. GG's. What's next for us? Azu into Bastiodon. Somebody give this trainer last season's patch notes. Bastiodon is absolutely on the way out, but it seems as if he's received last season's patch notes because he's got the Volt Switch Fortress up next. Another ABA Steel team is definitely an interesting play. We're going to fire off a Shadow Ball at the Fortress, and I was calling the Rock Tomb there, but an Earthquake on the next move would absolutely devastate us. We're going for that CMP tie. As we make the move on the CMP tie, may as well fire it off. They're going to no-shield it, letting the Fortress go down. Back in comes that Bastiodon, and we're going to bank the Shadow Ball and switch. I don't really want to throw a debuff Shadow Ball at a Bastiodon because that's probably going to do like 20%. Bastiodon is stupidly thick. They're going to bring in a Registeel. Speaking of stupidly thick, but we're getting flashbacks to many seasons ago where Azu would run Hydro Pump for Registeel coverage, and this is absolutely a situation where it is paying dividends. They are going to fire off a Zap Cannon that will remove my Azu from the field. But all this Registeel's energy is resisted. I'm actually, in the interest of preserving my Dragapult's HP, going to shield here, because I can't risk this move, or this Bastiodon potentially getting a farm down, and a Zap Cannon would hit pretty hard. Fortunately, their Zap Cannon did not debuff. We fire off a Shadow Ball. They let it go on the Bastiodon. With 2 shields intact, they decide to let my move go. That is a surprise. Arguably here, I probably should have thrown the Breaking Swipe, but I decided to go for the Shadow Ball, switch into the Giratina, go for another Shadow Ball, and that gets both of these shields down. Bastiodon really desperately trying to make another move here, but its pacing is so bad currently. They are going to be able to fire off 1 move here, but they aren't going to be able to make 2, as we are 2 off of our next move. They try to catch our move on their Registeel, but that game's over. GG's. In the next game, it's going to be Azu leading into an opposing Azu again. Again, not a very comfortable lead for us, but that's okay. We're going to bring in our Giratina. They're going to switch into the Alolan Dugtrio. And I guess we know what team this is again. This should just be Azu Slap Hole once again. We're going to fire off an Ominous Wind, grabbing the shield from the Alolan Dugtrio. And now we're going to fire off another Ominous Wind. It's a toss-up if I want to shield this or not. Oh my goodness, my English today. We are just going to no shield, bring in the Azu, look for the farm down, because Azu's energy will be pretty useful into their other Slapper and back if it ever ends up there. They are going to fire off a Mud Bomb, unfortunately not make another, because that Mud Bomb hurts quite a lot from that Pokemon. They're going to switch out into a Fire Fang Mawile. Oh my goodness, that was just the complete RPS team. I would have left the game too. GG's for that trainer. This cup is just non-stop blast from the past. We've got a Skarmory on the lead in the next game, and they are going to switch out into a Klefki. Klefki was the king of this cup, at least theoretically, before Mudslap got buffed. Now, Astonish is still chunking quite a bit onto our Giratina, but we can commit to the double Shadow Ball here, and if they want to drop both shields, we're okay with that. They get the full Astonish down, but the worst this is going to throw at us is going to be a Play Rough. It also gets access to Iron Head and Foul Play, which I believe Foul Play is probably on its moveset, but they're probably going to throw just straight Play Rough, which is fine. We can let this second one go. It's going to do some substantial damage to our Azu, but now we can fire off the Ice Beam. We get caught on again. I've been autopiloting quite a bit early season, and people have just been making catches on me left and right, but fortunately, it's an Ice Beam catch onto the Skarmory, and Skarmory's in trouble. Skarmory is putting itself in a position where it's just going to get farmed down. They probably should have Brave Birded there to limit my farm, because now Dragapult leaves with nearly 100 energy. I believe that's 90 energy we have loaded there. They're going to bring in their Registeel in the back. The Registeel's pacing is so slow by today's standards, it's not going to make a move against us. We can easily overfarm there if we really want to, but I don't want to give them the opportunity to lock on me into a range where they can come in and one Astonish my Dragapult. So I throw one Astonish, switch in Azu, 2 bubbles will farm it down, and that's a good game. Everyone point and laugh, as in our last game of the video, it's going to be a Pokemon that was formerly top meta in this cup, but has dropped in usage quite a bit. Flygon used to rule this cup in the last rotation, and now it's relegated to just kind of okay. Nevertheless, we're going to fire off an Ice Beam, and I believe they just caught on me again onto their Azu, catching the Ice Beam. I bring in the Dragapult, because Dragapult has energy that could potentiate threatening the Flygon if it gets brought back in after this matchup. They're going to fire off an Ice Beam. Unfortunately, Dragapult does have to shield in the Azu matchup, whereas Giratina kind of doesn't. At least not the first move. A Breaking Swipe will get shielded by the Azu, and now, since we landed that bait, I'm happy with sending the ball here. The ball connects onto the Azu, they decide to let it go down, and they've lost switch advantage, meaning that this Flygon is going to be greeted very swiftly by an Azu. I can let this Dragon Claw go. That'll probably do like 2 billion% to my poor Dragapult there, but they're going to have a Ferrothorn in the back, and Trainer playing this out, I hate to tell you, is just strictly copium. Look at the Power Whip damage. The Bullet Seeds are not going to allow it to mean 2 Power Whips will KO, so we're easily going to be able to make 2 Shadow Balls here, or commit to 1 Shadow Ball and a farm down. Unfortunately, this trainer seems to have left the game. If you decide to leave a game, just top left, because when you leave this way, it causes a lot of issues. As you can see here, my Giratina is just going to continuously Shadow Claw down the rest of this Flygon. because throwing a move potentiates the game actually crashing. And that's terrible stuff. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. I cannot recommend this team to you guys enough. This is a very strong team, and I really hope you guys can find some usage out of it, and feel free to give it a shot and let me know in the comments below how it works out for you. I've actually been inspired to play the game and grind it out, all 5 of my sets, which honestly at the very beginning of the season was a little bit of a slugfest for me, which is why you see I'm still at or around rank 18 right now, but nevertheless, I've been Shmeaty. Thanks again so much for watching. I hope to see you guys again next time, and have a good rest of your day. Bye.